My name is Varun, and if you have a hard time pronouncing my name, then you can say Varun. So, since you all have been affected by Swamiji and by Yogananda ji in different ways, so I was reading this book and I came across a technique that Yogananda ji uses, and so I'll be using it every time I speak. So I'm going to ask you all a question. You all know what it is, and you all know the answer. So please answer in all energy you can. I'll try to ask with all energy of mine. How feels everybody?
Awake and ready.
How feels everybody?
Awake and ready.
How feels everybody?
Awake and ready.
Fantastic. And I hope everyone is okay in the online. Yes, so my journey starts when I was back in my 10th grade. My dad received Kriya Yoga initiation that time, so I came across the autobiography. And I was always, kind of the fellow who had difficult time making friends because I was interested in spirituality, in space, in time travel, in aviation, and all my other friends were interested in who scores the most in Barcelona or who is trying to impress who. So I had a tough time in making friends, and I felt that in some way that Yogananda ji was my friend by reading autobiography. And well, when I came in my first year, then I came across Swamiji's talks, and I used to see Swamiji's talks on TV, on YouTube. And I felt that I never really got a chance to meet him in person. And I always felt whenever he would give the talk that, he's always looking into your eyes. And I felt that, he knows I'm sitting on the other side and he's talking like a friend with me. And that's how I keep my, contact with him. Even after he's gone, I just switch on the video and I chat with him. So Jyotish ji and Devi ji had a talk in my college right after my exams got over. And then next day I was in Ananda. And it's been a wonderful journey so far. And when I came to Ananda village for the Moksha Mandir, and when the event took place, I felt that I was with my own family, even though I didn't know many of them. So I still felt I was at home. And I hope you all get a chance to do something like this again. So, well, thank you. Oh, yeah. If you all don't mind, when I saw Swamiji's talks on TV, he would always, greet everyone with a specific accent. And then also Jyotishji and Deviji would follow up. So Swamiji's way of saying was on the TV, the music would get over, the Ananda sign would come, and then Swamiji would be like, Namaste, my friends. Today we're going to talk about a very important topic. So yeah.
Aditya.
Namaste, everybody. So I found autobiography for Yogi in Delhi. It was the year 2006, I think. And at that time, I had seen some ashrams, but no, actually, I had seen Gandhiji's ashram. I was very interested in Gandhiji. I remember when I was a little boy, we were going in the school bus, and 3-4 boys who were 1 year older than me, we were all in primary school, they were making fun of Gandhiji and laughing. And something in my heart said, one day I'm going to defend that man. And so I grew up and I found books where I started studying about it. And so I went to his ashram in Wardha. And, in the evening, they had said there'll be evening prayers in the ground where Gandhiji used to pray. So we all went, and I went, I was alone. And there was another person who was playing the Tanpura, and he kept on playing for half an hour, 45 minutes, and mosquitoes were biting all over. And, then I went to buy a kurta after some time, and somebody said, oh, we are closed, come. I said, but, there's still 10 more minutes officially. And he said, okay, what color do you want? And then I thought, what kind of spirit is this? Gandhiji was so different, and this is the very place he stayed. Plus, there was nobody else in the evening prayers. So I thought, if such a thing could happen to the place of Gandhiji, I said, what hope can the world have? How can we ever change society? Which was also a question I always carried in my heart. And I had that thought, and then once I read his autobiography, but then next time I visited the bookstore, I found autobiography of Yogi, and which was not the last time. I had 200 pages, and I saw a picture of Gandhiji and Master. And I was like, okay, I know where Gandhiji got his inspiration from, or like his strength. So I then immediately found the book. I thought I read the book. I felt Yogananda ji. I was convinced about past lives, which was not a topic even people in India discuss with conviction. So I said, wow, past lives exist. There's something Gandhiji had to learn. There's something everybody had to learn. There's something I have to learn. So there was a postcard. This was an SRF book. I filled it up. I said, okay, I want to learn more. I want to learn Kriya Yoga. And I never heard from them. But then, it was a few weeks. But then a few weeks later, I saw an ad in the paper of Master, and under him was this beautiful, radiant face, and it said, "Direct disciple Swami Kriyananda." And for me, when I read autobiography, I thought it was historical. Gandhiji, Yogananda ji, and then here was Swami Kriyananda ji, and it said in Delhi he was launching a book, and I was just so thrilled. And I went with my friend, and I also bought Hope for a Better World. Hope for a Better World book. It was the most practical book because Gandhiji also spoke of communities and such and cooperative living, but I saw it was not working in his case, in that place. And so I said, I want to see. So I had heard Swamiji in the talk, and then I bought the book. So I had loved him as a spiritual leader. I read the book, and he knew so much more. I mean, I don't know how to put it in words, but where every other book on communities kind of had paused, even including Gandhiji's, he filled that gap. And I said, this man knows, because it said in the book he has communities. So I said, I want to see his community. But he didn't have any community at that time in India. So next week, fortunately, he was giving a satsang in Pune, in Gurgaon. I was in Delhi. I went to Gurgaon, met him, and it was very sweet. And then I wrote a letter to him. I said, I think Yogananda ji is my guru. I want to learn Kriya Yoga. These are the services I can provide. My phone number is this. My address. Please let me know. It was like, it was more like, let me know when I should come. I never heard from him. Even though he took the letter from my hands, because it was a small room. He was taking things personally. I had a book for him. I had this letter. So he said, I'll read it. So I knew, of course, from his power that he must have read it. But then it was, I understood it was my karma that I had to spend some time doing what I was doing, serving, learning lessons in the world. But it came to that point where the world was not feeding me anymore. And then, of course, I came to the path. And I didn't have any questions when I came. But this is the story of Swamiji I want to share. We were all meeting him on the 5th day of my coming to the monastery. I joined the monastery right away. And Swamiji said, when we met him first, he said, do you have any questions? He was asking everybody as he used to did, but he looked at me and said, do you have any questions? I said, no, sir. Then after some story, then there was a pause, and he would say, do you all have any questions? Do you have a question? I said, no. He said, are you sure? And on some, maybe this was a subconscious question, I still don't know, because I was not having anything to ask, but everybody around me was thinking that he's gone crazy. My friends, my teacher, the hospital I had dropped out of, family. And I said, sir, I was doing this nice course. My teachers were very good. My family is very nice. And my friends were very good. But then he didn't let me finish the question. And he interrupts me and he says, Aditya, man's highest responsibility is to find God. And I think you've done the right thing by coming. That was, my question was going to be, did I do the right thing? And so he answered that, and to this day I give that as a counsel to everybody. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. And Swami made that. I think it must have been something subconscious, because he made it very clear, no matter what. It's like all things can move in that end, but you cannot replace that end. So that was nice.
Thank you.
Is Prerna here?
Gopala? Italy?
Someone should represent it.
Namaste.
Okay. So I don't have so many funny stories except in my English. Okay, so I'm Namaste. I'm like you, Narayan. so.
What does Namaste mean?
Swamiji says worshipful. So, so I had this accident when I was 15 years old, and everything begins from there, which I don't go into the details, but my brother was driving and he was fast, and somehow the car slid, and we just have a crash with another car, and I jumped out of the window and under the other car. So, and my brother was between the cars, and so, until then, my life was just, perfect. Study what I need to somehow think about was just playing tennis, skiing, all these things. So it was really perfect life. And then I ended up in the hospital. So, and my face was just, really, nothing breaks actually. So it was good. But the body was just really, and the doctor that was a friend of my father says, don't look yourself in the mirror, don't look yourself in the mirror for a while. So, and I just went to the bathroom. And I saw a monster, really, it was just amazing. So it was really duality, the face was just, this was normal and this was just a mess. Everything was really, and I had also this long hair, and everything was also, cutting. So it was pretty, a shock. So, and yeah, from there, my life changed. I just didn't have, I just couldn't actually found any meaning somehow of this life. What does it mean to be here? That everything can change in second. And so, then I go into the yoga, and I did physical yoga and meditation, but the meditation that I did was just to escape from this duality. So, and this can be a little bit tricky and not so safe, because then, can be some problem, because it's like that you divide your personality somehow, you cannot, you function outside somehow, and then you escape and you go in. So it was a little bit, I don't know if it makes sense, but was not really something, smart to do, but I did. And and then I start to, somehow I had responsibility with my business of my family, that they were in Germany. We were just working in Germany. And so, and then I was teaching yoga. And, as I don't know, maybe that in the yoga world can be a lot of ego, So, competition or whatever this. And so my ego was pretty, strong, and I thought that I knew many things. And so, and then I just needed to do a retreat, so a silence retreat. So my good friends said to me, oh, go to Assisi. There is a good center and you can, keep silence there. It was not if you know Assisi,
Very little silence.
It was not silent, it was really Mamma Mia. So people like to share. So, I was a little bit upset. And then Swamiji, in those years, it was 2001, he was living in Assisi, and I have this big fortune to see him. Even if I saw him, I saw him the first time, we were just in the Sunday service, and he just came in with, a jacket, a cravatta, come si dice la cravatta, tie, e la camicia.
Sure.
So, and then I look at him and I say, who is this? It's like my father, it has the same shape of my father. Who is this? And just slowly, went up and he sit down and was smiling, and he started to sing. And then was the choir singing, and then something bypassing the mind, makes sense. Somehow, as you know, went straight in the heart, and somehow my mind became a little bit quiet. And then he just spoke as he did, very simple. Maybe in English, when you speak in English, it's more elaborated. But when he was speaking in Italian, it was very simple. Was just the simplicity was for me, oh wow, everything was complicated. What this was really, important was complicated. This was my, way to see things. And he was there, very simple, and just spoke, it was some vibration for sure. Not what he said himself was not, but the vibration was something really powerful. So but my story is maybe for you is different, but I never had actually the chance to talk with him. Maybe Narayana knows. I don't know, I have, somehow it was strange because I couldn't actually talk with him. There was nothing to say, it was nothing to ask. It was just nice to see him when he was there. And just his presence. And I think that he just, he was for me the bridge. Maybe I was not able to receive the teaching of Yogananda as avatar. I was not really able to receive them. So he just, helped me to not understand here, but understand here. So this was, but okay. And then the point was that I was not able to live in Ananda because Maya knows, I had some problems to function. The point was that I was not able to eat, I was not sleeping, my nervous system was very thin, and and Mahia actually took care of me, and she was really my angel. And if she was not there, I think I was not here. So I'm really, thankful from her. So the point was that I couldn't actually live there because I was not able to live there. So I was, moving to Germany and then coming back, going, coming. And then I just, become a little bit more stronger somehow. I didn't grow up actually, but I become a little bit more grounded. So, and then I just moved to Assisi, and I'm there, and I'm happy to be there, and I'm happy to be with you and be part of this wonderful family. Is really a big, it's a gift. It's something more than a gift. So thank you. Oh, sorry for my English.
Rachel.
She was saying something.
I think you look beautiful. When you were saying that, you recovered really well.
I covered it. Thank you.
And you recovered
After many years.
Hello, everyone. Hello. The when we were here for the dedication, it was really powerful to me to realized that Ananda, oh wait, hold on. It was really powerful for me to realize that Ananda is so much more than a place. You know, it's not a village or Italy or India. It's really a consciousness. And for all of these people to come together, I mean, it was just so powerful. I know I was filming, but I always had to take a minute to be like, oh my gosh, this is like way bigger than we could even realize right now. And so I'm really grateful for that. So I was practicing Hatha Yoga for many years and I loved it. And you're right, Namasya, there was so much ego involved. But, and I would watch these girls do these amazing things, like go from, you know, standing to flying in the air and landing. And I was like, wow, I really, like, I want to do that because that's yoga, you know, like if you do that, that's yoga. But then after class, they would just be talking very badly about other people, or, you know, their consciousness was not really something I wanted to emulate. So I always wanted to do yoga teacher training, but I really didn't know where, because somewhere in my mind I thought I need to learn this from like a guru or something, but I didn't even really know what that meant, because it just felt like everyone that I was meeting didn't really master themselves. Like they didn't really get to a point of where I wanted to learn from them. So I just knew that I was living in New York at the time, and I went to, actually some people were telling me, oh, you need to go to this guru, his name is Dharma Mitra, and he's amazing. And so I went to that class, and I just saw all of these amazing people doing this amazing yoga, but I didn't feel like there was a guru there. I just felt like I don't even know what he was really talking about, but there didn't feel like a real teaching. I actually really did not feel like talking to him. But anyway, so then, so thank you. I wish I hadn't done that, but I just wanted to know your story. Were you the one that
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. So I really wanted to do yoga at wherever I was living, no matter how much money for rent. If I didn't have money for rent, I knew that I had to practice Hatha Yoga every single day. It was the only way that I could focus and concentrate on anything. So I would do this thing called Karma Yoga, where you basically worked at a yoga studio for 4 hours a week, and you would get unlimited free yoga classes. And to me, that was just great. 4 hours a week, free yoga classes. And so when I moved to LA, I did the exact same thing. So one day I was on my way to work, and I was sitting in the parking lot waiting for my hour to go, waiting for my time to go to work. And I was like, Karma Yoga ashram. If I could do Karma Yoga in a yoga studio, maybe I could do Karma Yoga in an ashram. And I was like, this is like a really good idea. And it really felt like it was a good idea. So I went, after I did my little shift, I went home and I Googled Karma Yoga ashram, and I saw Expanding Light. And I called Trimurti, and I think like a month later, I went there, and I remember I was driving up the hill. It was really cold that day, and I walk up, Uddhava and Krishna also there, and they're like, you give her a tour. No, you give her a tour. Which is really funny, because I ended up working at the Expanded Light, giving people tours, and I was like, you give her a tour. So it was cool, and he took me to Lahiri. I didn't really know I don't know if you guys know Richard Dreyfuss, but when I saw the statue of Lahiri, I'm like, wow, they have a statue of Richard Dreyfuss. I know, which is so funny. Lahiri is like such a absolute connection, but I really did not get it. And then Krishna was talking about stuff, and I'm like, where did I come to? What is going on? But then he actually was like, have you read Autobiography of the Yogi? And I was like, no. And so he gave it to me, and I opened it, and I started reading it, and then I just did not put it down. That book completely, people would tell me later on, they're like, oh, you were the girl that was sitting in the corner, like always with the book. I had papers coming out of it, bookmarks. The book was like this fat because of all the notes I had in it. And actually, it was a property of the Expanding Light. And I'm like, Trimurti, I know I could buy this book, but I've like completely ruined this book, and I have it. He's like, yeah, But yeah, I came here, I did karma yoga for a month, and then I came back 3 months later to do yoga teacher training because I was like, well, I might as well do yoga teacher training here. After yoga teacher training, I realized this was a lifestyle that I wanted to have, and I needed to live it. This is where I was going to live it. So after yoga teacher training, 3 months. It took me 3 months to convince my Jewish relatives why I needed to live here, because they were just like, "Wait, what? You're going where? How? Why?" And then that was it. I moved here August 2011, and it just gets amazing how deeper and deeper. Like the thing that comes to my mind a lot is I feel in many ways I haven't even gone down the hallway to open the door to turn the corner. Like it just feels like there's so much. Every day is like a whole other layer of perception of my own understanding of. I mean, it's just really incredible. So, thank you.
So we have 15 minutes till 9. So if there's people we feel should definitely share before then, and we could also go over a bit.
Maybe there are some of the monks from the village. I'll have to share.
Yeah, Sambhava, go ahead. And are people needing to leave at 9? They could, and then people want to stay longer, we could. I know there's a long meditation in the morning.
Hi, my name's Sambhava. I think I know everyone here. It's great to hear these different stories. It's wonderful to do this. We've done this. It got started in the past, and there was a lot of momentum. And it's just great to see that this is something like this is still happening. So thank you for bringing this on. I've told my story before at a similar sort of event called Joy Masters, but I'll tell it again for those who haven't heard. It was in 2010, early 2010, that my uncle, who I wasn't very close with, he's the brother of my mom, wasn't very close with, but for some reason, out of the blue, decided to send an email to my mom to say that he wanted to send me a book that he thought would help me out in life. And so he sent me this book. He explained it was one of the top 10 classics of spirituality in this last 100 years. So my mom gave me the paper, and I read it. And it was very strange because I didn't connect with him very much. And I find it's helpful to tell these stories again, because I think when I tell this story or hear other stories, there's a deepening of appreciation to hear other people's stories, how they got here. And then to tell the story again, it's sort of, it's just something for me to be grateful for. Anyway, so I read it, and I read the letter, and sure enough, it's my junior year in college, and just going along. I didn't really know when to expect the book, and turns out he wasn't a very timely kind of guy. So some months later, the book finally arrived. I came home from school one day. I go into my mailbox, and I live up. It was in the mountains of Boone, North Carolina, and so I lived in a pretty steep. It was a condo up high, or a townhouse, and so I was climbing up the hill, and I checked my mailbox, and lo and behold, Autobiography of a Yogi. And I picked it up, and that day I had been considering going up and going. There was a small hillside, not a mountain, of course, but very steep, great with a wide and vast expanse. And I thought, maybe this would be a good place to go take this book and get started. So I went, and I think it helped me to absorb what I was reading and the vibrations of Master, having a place where I was all alone, and you could just see the entire college town, the entire area. And as like Rachel was saying, I couldn't really put the book down. I probably went through, 25 chapters in that short period of time. I thought I was just going to go up there, have a snack, and come back. But I brought the Autobiography of a Yogi. And so I finished the book some weeks later. I did put it down, I guess, once in a while. And I finished the book, and I started practicing meditation daily. I started to immediately, I got the book in August, school had just started, my birthday's in late September, and I decided for my birthday I would start meditating twice a day. So I did, and I really committed to it. And so my life started changing rapidly with these, just practicing meditation, starting to look into myself and see the way I think, the way I feel, my interactions with people, what decisions I'm making in life. And life just kept going. It wasn't nothing radical that I remember happened then. But the next following year, this was 2010, so early 2011, my uncle committed suicide. And it was such a shock. And I remember that morning vividly, as I was sitting and meditating, and I got a call from my father. Phone didn't usually ring, and I very strangely picked it up. I don't know why. But I picked it up, and it says Connor, and that was my name then, Connor. Your uncle Bob has passed away. Passed away? I said, yeah, he decided to kill himself. And this was a shock, a very powerful shock to me, because my mom and dad, I think my dad knew about it, but my mom was aware of the fact that he was a struggling alcoholic, drug addict. He had all these problems. He had a lot of spiritual enthusiasm. He had a lot of different spiritual books that he would read, and was very interested, but he couldn't get over the fact of some childhood traumas, and just so they weren't totally surprised. They were shocked, but for me it was very shocking. So I was sort of took the news, and I was very okay. This is what happened, and then I hung up and I bawled. I cried so hard that I couldn't. And the only reason I felt like I could cry that hard for a man I never knew is because I could feel the pain that it would take to take your own life. That you had to be hurting so traumatically bad, so unbelievably bad, that you would want to take your life. And so that was why I was crying, because I didn't know the man. I didn't really know how to relate to him, but I could relate to that kind of pain. And that is why when I read the autobiography, I felt this is the purpose of life. If there's suffering, there must be a way out. And so that day I was distraught. I didn't know what to do. But earlier that day I had received an email from a college professor saying that there's service work available. I was part of a service program that I would every once in a while we would go out and do things, help other people. And I thought of that email. I thought that's a good thing to do. I'm going to do that. So I looked up to see what it was, and I connected with a friend, and I said, "Look, I really want to do this, and I don't know why, but I need to do something." And he said, this was a good friend of mine. He said, "I'm happy to go with you if that'll help." I said, "That would be fantastic." So both him and I went out, and basically the whole service activity was just moving books from one location to another. It was a giant warehouse. It was a warehouse of books. They were moving a warehouse from one to the next. I didn't really know what exactly was going on. I just knew when we were moving books, I just need to move energy, and I didn't really think about it. I just, great, move books. I just got to get my mind off anything else right now. And at one point, I don't know, like an hour into moving lots of books in and out of these trucks, I was in one of the trucks, and on the box it said, the highest box up there said religion. And I thought, religion. And for some reason, the word rang in my ear as rely on. And I thought, what are we relying on? So anyway, I pulled the book open, and sort of like Maheya said, in slow motion, kind of like a movie. The top book was above the edge, and it fell out into my arms. And the book was Cities of Light. And immediately, I knew Ananda was already, I knew about Ananda, I knew about Ananda through the internet. And I had this shocking moment of just like, wow, this is all happening for a purpose. This isn't an accident that just fell in my hand. And it was such like a real realization that I didn't know what to do with that. Now what? If there's a plan here, now what? So I turned to the man who was helping with books, and I said, "Sir, I'd like to buy this book." He said, "Do you have $1?" And I said, I opened up my wallet, and I said, "I have $10, and that's it. So I said, I'll give you $10. He said, "Take the book." So I took the book and I read the book, and I filled it inside this card. Inside the book, there was an advertisement card for a Living with Spirit summer program. And so I thought, well, that would be great. I would love to go visit this community that Swami he's created, and I really want to be around people who know these teachings. So I filled out the card and I sent it in. And about 3 weeks later, it took quite a while. I got a call back, and Kate Taylor, for those of you who know Kate Taylor, called and said, "Is this Connor Burke?" "Yes." I said, "Hi, is this Kate Taylor?" And I said, "Hi." And she says, "Did you send in a card to Ananda Village?" I said, "Yes." I couldn't tell why she was so like reluctant to just, I didn't know where she was going. She said, "Did you realize that book was from the 1980s? program ended a long time ago. Imagine that. But the good news is we just started up this Living with Spirit program once again. We started last year and it's happening again this year. We would love to have you. And, she said, we've been praying for people to come, to come to these programs. So I said, fantastic. So I went, and from that point on, I joined, I stayed, and then I went back to finish college. That was during my summer. I finished college, and then I came back. And then I'll share one short story about Swami that I've been thinking about recently. There was actually, Dave Bingham was doing film recordings of young people's experience of Swami, however brief. I don't know what ever happened with that, because I did that, and I don't know if he ever decided to keep going with it or what happened, but I haven't heard of it since. But anyway, what I shared there was, I was in India on pilgrimage with Jitendra in 2012, and it was Krishnadasa Mantradevi who was leading it. But, it was toward the end of the pilgrimage, and Swami was giving satsangs, and we were attending the satsangs. I think it was in Gurgaon. I don't remember exactly where. But we were singing. I wasn't even a part of the choir, but they asked us to sing. I said, that'd be fun. So I decided to go sing. And I remember someone was introducing him, I think, and he was sitting down in the front row of about 200 people. And I was on the farthest side of this choir, all the way farthest away from him from where we were standing. And I was looking at him very intently, and I was thinking to myself, I'm so upset that I never got to meet you. I never got to say thank you for how you've changed my life. And I was holding I was so hurt that I could never have said thank you to him. And I was just really holding that. And I could feel this anger welling up in me. I never got to say thank you. And will I even get that chance? And it was probably about a minute that I was really just there's a weltering of emotion coming up. And he kind of did this little head nod, like something was up. And that shook me because I was looking at him very intently. And I was like, what is he doing? I was just sort of observing him. And then he looks directly at me. And he just stares at me. And he has this grim look of like, what are you doing? Why are you? And he didn't know what I was going through. He just knew that for some reason I was channeling anger at him, unintentionally. But he could feel that anger. And I could just, I could see the thought in his face was, what are you doing? And it kind of shocked me, so I just stopped looking at him. I didn't say anything. It's like there was this communication that could not be bridged at that point. So we sang, and we sang 2 songs or so, and right at the very end of the last song, I don't even remember what it was, he looked right at the end, and there was this huge applause, and he looked right at me with this beaming smile, just full of joy. And I was feeling great afterwards because we had just been singing the music. And he said to me with that feeling of joy is all that matters. I don't know if he ever really understood why I was upset, but he was beaming. And that was the thought that came to me, that joy is all that matters. And sort of thought, it doesn't matter if you know me, sort of like Narayani was saying, you will feel it. You don't need to actually, it's not something you think about, you'll feel it. That was just a story I want to share about Swami. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
So it's almost 9. Is there any last persons that really feel like they would like to share?
I'll share.
Yes. If anyone does need to go, feel free. Otherwise.
So my name is Premi, and I'm part of the monastery. I'm not waiting to make that joke. That's the only reason I came up here. I actually drove across country with my daughters on Swamiji's birthday, and I had like a huge box of crystal clarity books, and so everywhere I stopped, I'd leave them in little places, like, and own them in hopes that people would find them, and I wrote a little inscription, that it was Swamiji's birthday, because I thought you never know, one might come back later, that would be fun. And when I was a little girl, I really didn't know what I wanted to do, ever, when anyone asked me, and it was a constant question for some reason, and was pressure to decide, which I never could answer. And but I was very interested in religion and cultures and other people, and I learned just about every one except for Hinduism. For some reason, that just didn't open itself up to me. And then in high school, my high school English teacher gave me this assignment. It was just a random paper to show that I could write a 5-paragraph essay, but the question was, what is love? And that just hooked me forever. And I can never let it go. And I grew up with an atheist father and a mom who I felt like she was very spiritual, but she didn't really have an outlet for that. And I grew up in a Quaker community. I didn't really have a concept of God. I grew up with Southern Baptists and all around me. And they called me a devil worshiper when I was a little girl because I didn't belong to the church. And maybe that's what spurned that interest in religion. But then, so then when I was in high school, I thought, oh, well, God is music. So I was pretty sure God is music. And then life went on, and I got to college, and my freshman year, I was living in New York City, and I went up to the top of my building. I'd still been thinking, God is music, God must be music. And I screamed to the city, God, I'm gonna find you! And so then the next day, I meet a Bengali man with long wavy hair who played the harmonium and knew all this stuff about God. And I was just, I don't know, everything just, it was like little, it just seemed like it was so right. But it began a period of 12 years of extreme abuse, and I eventually became extremely numb to everything. And I lost all my identification with the world and people, except for my daughters. When they were born, they were, that was like my duty, my love, to protect them. And so many, many things happened during that time. And eventually, I never really learned about God during that time. What I thought, I kept thinking, I didn't even know what meditation was, but I, for some reason, had this image we were going to wake up in the mornings really early and do something spiritual. Never happened. And then, at the end of those 12 years, it got very, very bad, to the point where I was almost killed. And I prayed very hard because I just prayed with all of my might. And the next day, I met someone who was teaching yoga classes. And I thought, oh, yoga classes, that might be good for me. And it was not an easy thing to just go and leave that situation and go do yoga classes because I was very controlled. But somehow it ended up that I was also to be a driver. I got this little part-time job of being a driver of a blind man, very elderly blind Indian man. And that was a very safe job for me to have. So I did that, and he suggested that the yoga teacher that I could clean yoga mats and at the Hare Krishna temple and take some yoga classes. So I started doing that, and there was a young man who was there at the Hare Krishna temple who right away told me that my daughter, because both my daughters went everywhere with me, that she was having a stress condition, and she had a kind of asthmatic cough, and he said that yoga could help her. And so we came very early in the morning before her school, and I'd kind of sneak out of the house and bring her, and we would do the yoga practice. And that really changed me. I had a spiritual awakening. In one day, I became a vegetarian, not because anyone told me, it's just like I just got picked up and off of this train track and put on that train track. And then I found out that this person was a Kriya. He kept talking about Kriya and Swami Kriyananda. And so I looked into finding out about Swami Kriyananda, and that person turned out to be also have many, many problems, many issues. I don't think that he was practicing Kriya Yoga, but it ended up becoming kind of a similar type of power relationship, in that because he had taught me how to meditate, I suddenly needed to buy him stuff and drive him around, and I had at that point no ability to even speak with other adults. I just could barely do anything. And I was able to get myself to I left the marriage around that time, and I just took my daughters and we lived in a friend's apartment. And I started feeling so miserable, more miserable than ever, because I didn't know how to be in the world. I didn't know how to do anything, and I had a job, and we had so much anxiety that I couldn't even put one number from this page onto this page correctly. And I was needing to support my children. That was, to pay rent and to have a job and eventually get an apartment. And then I wrote a letter to Swami. I wrote an email to Swami. And I explained what was going on, and that I needed to know what was what. I needed to know someone to tell me, like, what's right, what's wrong, what do I do next, because I don't know. And he wrote me back the most clear, beautiful letter with exact instructions, which was, clear everything out of your life and keep chanting, keep praying to Divine Mother, and everything will be okay. And so I did that. I followed his exact words. And then I got on the online meditation, and that online community became my entire world. And I saw everything starting to improve. I just hung on to Swamiji. And then one day I thought, I wonder if where is Swamiji? Because I need to be wherever Swamiji is. I have to be where Swamiji is. And I had at that point an apartment and a job. I was a nanny, and things that were like binding contracts with people, and I didn't want to let them down. But one day I just called up to Ananda village and asked if there was a school. And I got to Santoshi, and Santoshi said, just come, you know, you can stay at Banyan House. And because I knew I needed to bring the girls to see if they would like living here, because that was my intention. And so we did. We came out, and as soon as we drove on the property, like, we hadn't even seen the joy symbol yet. Both of them said, "Can we move here?" And I was like, "Thank you." And so then, when we got back to Atlanta, everything just fell apart. Like, I didn't need to have my job anymore. I didn't have to have my lease anymore. I got a $10,000 check in the mail. and a car. So I could drive across country, because I didn't have any of that. And I had a few months left in Atlanta, so I decided to start a meditation group. And then I kept communicating with Avital, and so Avital went out to visit her mother, so I asked her if she would do some classes. It was the happiness, the series that came out, How to Be Happy All the Time. So she came out and did a few lectures, and we had a little core group. One of them was the blind man. And then I announced that I wasn't going to be there anymore, so they were on their own. And then we came here. And then when we came here, it was a really funny thing, because I didn't know anything about Hinduism, but my birth name was Maya. And I had named my children Saya and Noor, which in Bengali and Arabic, it means shadow and light. So here we are, Maya, Saya, and Noor. And I thought, you know, I've really had enough of Maya. It's time to change directions. And so then, anyway, that's another story. But yeah, so then when I came here, I still have that just deep desire. I had to see Swamiji. Just one time, just to be in his presence and to say thank you, or to bow at his feet. And so I was at Banyan House, and Sangeeta was there, and she was just making everything so homey. You know, she was making chapatis for everyone, and I felt like, oh, thank you. This is so homey and nice. And one day I was really sad. I was kind of crying, because I was like, oh, I'm going to get to see Swamiji. And I came all this way, and I really want to see Swamiji. And she came up to me and she scolded me. She said, "You go and write an email. If you want something, then go do it." And Swamiji had written me. He said, like he says to everyone, "Well, when you get to the village, come see me." You know? So I was like, I have that. And so then I wrote to Narayani, and she was so kind. She, even though it was so busy, that was the movie summer. And she gave me a time. And when I came up to the Crystal Hermitage, I didn't even know where to go. I was walking around everywhere. Finally, I end up down at Swamiji's apartment, and I see the back of his head, and I'm out the window. Yeah, so, and then that was just such a beautiful thing. So thank you. And that's the story. Bless you all.
Let's end with a brief meditation now, just closing our eyes and feeling gratitude in our hearts for all who shared from their hearts, and for Swami bringing us together and bringing us closer to God. Let's chant Om 3 times, sharing this love and joy. Om.
Information Bhagavati can sing a song.
Make them sing a song.
We can all sing a song together.
That sounds
How about
great.
that? Because I bet everyone here knows Lord Most High. So, hopefully we can
Just English?
Oh, of course not. So let's start it in English and then go to the Italian. Is that okay with you? Yep. Melody, harmony, as you can.
Lord Most High, our Heavenly Father, all our lives we dedicate to Thee. All our labors, all our joys and woes, all our pleasures, all our melody. Make us each a channel of Thy peace. When in darkness, guide us from above. Where there's sorrow, may we sow Thy joy. Where there's hatred, may we share Thy love. O Signore mio altissimo, la mia vita dedico a Te, le fatiche, gioia e dono, il piacere della melodia. Fammi in mezzo della pace Tua, quando è buio, guidami dal cielo, dove offesa io porti perno, dove l'odio io porti l'amore.